Maybe yes, maybe no. Here we go. One of the things that we spend a lot of time talking about as a global network is creativity and innovation and where it comes from. And the complexities of that when you're spread across 99 countries and over 9,000 people, and how you replicate and scale that has been a fascinating conversation that we've been having around the world over the past year. And so today I wanted to share some of the secrets that we've learned on how we're doing that and how we're scaling that across our global network. Now, secrets are really interesting because people are often looking for ways, how do I make things taste better, or go faster, or perhaps even live longer, as Miyazaki-san does. He's the centurion record holder for the 100-meter dash, and he can do it in 28 seconds. So the secrets that he's put in his life on how to live longer are very similar to the secrets that we're often asked for as we travel around the world. And the number one secret that management teams ask when I visit their offices are, how do we win more? And so as many of these awards are announced over the next day, the question often comes from our offices, why didn't we win? And what is it that we can do? And the second question that people ask is, how do I reduce my churn? Because churn is something we all deal with when we have more than one office. And this idea that it's a revolving door. So how can I chase elusiveness of creativity and innovation when my people keep coming and going? And that's the challenge that we've been trying to solve. And the reason churn is so interesting to us is that many say that the cost of churn is upwards of $20,000. Not just in the cost to hire new talent, but in what you lose working with your clients. And so management often spends its time chasing that. And in a world that is often dominated by finance, the idea of burning that kind of money through churn is very unappealing. And so when we think about what could we unlock if we could reduce that? And then the question becomes, well, who are we really focusing on? And that's really about the millennial. And if you heard Shingy speak yesterday from AOL, he talks a lot about the millennial as the customer that we all want. But we often forget that it makes up over 75% of our employee base, not just our customers that we so aggressively chase on behalf of our clients. And so all the things that Shingy talks about in the context of the emotions wrapped up in those millennials are the same things that our employees are thinking about and talking about our own brands. 1 in 3 high-potential millennials admits they don't put their all into their job when they show up every day. 1 in 4 says they'll be working at another agency within a year. And 2 in 5 have little confidence in the people they work around or their leadership. So when we start to think about that and we ask the question, what is it about that churn? And how do we think about reducing that very scary number? Is that a way that we can pursue creativity and innovation? And so it becomes a chicken and an egg conversation. What is it that I want to do? Really drive creativity and innovation and hope people will stay? Or try and reduce my churn so that I can have more creativity and innovation on behalf of my clients and grow my business? Managers often fall into the situation where it's protecting their teams. And so the time that they do spend is about keeping people from running out the door to get the project done. And that becomes the inevitable pursuit of where we focus. And we've learned that that doesn't drive creativity and innovation. And we've been able to prove that. And what we have learned is, like most things in life, it's neither reducing your churn or focusing on creativity and innovation. They're an outcome of an environment. And I want to share with you how we learned that. This is a wonderful finding from the Deloitte Management Survey that is just out this past month. And what's so interesting about it is that millennials, unlike Generation X or boomers, don't look for creativity and innovation from individuals. They actually look towards an institution. I think within my generation, or many of your generations, the idea that government would be a place for creativity and innovation is a foreign concept. But for millennials, It's the #1 place they expected. And they think the institution should be responsible for driving it. We think that's very interesting. And so we subscribe to this concept from Peter Drucker. Very long ago, he said, look, culture eats strategy for breakfast. So this idea of discipline around digital and innovation and all the things that we spend time talking about are great. But if we don't have the right culture in place, it doesn't work. So what we've done in the context as part of a large Omnicom initiative is we've surveyed over 40,000 people across over 120 countries around the world. And we've invested heavily into this over the past 3 years to try and get an understanding of what's really happening. And what makes this interesting for OMD is because, for the 8th year running, we've won the Gun Report, the most creative agency. We've tried to understand what really drives those offices and their ability to win. And I'm not a big fan of surveys because when you get enough people inside of a survey, you get a very normal distribution. And that doesn't really tell you anything. But what we do is we focus on the ends. And so in a simple 5-point scale, what we're really interested in is the people that talk about their favorable and their unfavorable experiences. And maybe there we can learn something. And there's a lot of technical terms for these, but for the purpose of our conversation today, we'll just call them lovers and haters. And they exist in everyone's organization. You've all met them. The haters are kind of like Ebola in your organization, and they infect an organization and can push through negative culture. And they suppress creativity and innovation. And the lovers are the people that ride unicorns to work. And everything is wonderful. But we find they're also not great drivers of creativity and innovation. And so across all of our offices around the world, we have what we call engagement fingerprints. And here are 5 random offices we've selected. And just so you can see, they're all very different shapes. There are 3 things they share. All 5 of those markets have a very healthy population of lovers and haters, people who are really excited about what they do and people who don't like it. But that creates some fascinating tension. They're also a very diverse set of offices. They're neither the biggest offices or the biggest markets or the smallest. They're not necessarily from mature markets. Some are emerging markets. They're not the biggest budgets. They don't all share the same high-profile clients. So diversity was also interesting. So we couldn't point to a structural element that drove creativity and innovation. And none of them are satisfied. Consistently in the commentary within those employee surveys, they talked about wanting more. Consistently wanting more. So what I want to share with you are the 4 secrets, these cultural commitments that bind them together. The first is belief. They all have very strong belief structures. Belief in you, the organization, and the work. The #1 thing millennials want from their boss is help navigating their career path. The #1 thing they want from the firm is opportunity. And from the work, a sense of purpose. And so we see in those 5 markets, they build into their cultural commitments ways to drive the belief structure. They offer valuable experience, they create unique opportunities, and they lead by example. They all share that attribute in their belief. The second is responding. They respond to the needs, the questions, and the aspirations of their talent consistently. We know that 55% of millennials, in just the way when they have a bad brand experience, when they have a bad work experience, they share that too. But they're also your best advocates for attracting talent. And 20% of them believe that their aspirations are not served from what the organization wants. So we see in those 5 markets lots of initiatives on how they're creating forums for exchange, on how they're looking for meaningful actions, and measuring the progress in the context of what they're doing as an office. And that helps continue to drive that creativity and innovation. The third is involving. Involving the entire office in the decisions that get made, how those decisions are executed, and the journey that they go on to achieve their growth and their annual objectives. We find that, in the Deloitte survey, barriers to innovation was a big topic It's certainly something we're all talking about here today. 63% of millennials believe it comes down to management attitude. And that's why they're unable to innovate as an institution. 61% believe it's the structure and the bureaucracy of the way things have to work. And 39% believe it's about the development of their skills. All things that the institution in their mind is responsible for. So we see those 5 markets as they involve their talent. They look to get everybody involved in solving the big problems. When you think about your planning, each of those 5 markets brings the entire office together to do their annual plan and to talk about what their strategic needs are. It's not done in silence. They create an entire awareness of it so that everybody has shared accountability. And they measure their progress in a very public way. And they tie the individual goals of their talent to the business goals so that they too are involved in growing the business every day. And the 4th cultural commitment is to champion. Champion the values and the learning and the contribution that talent is making. 80% of millennials prefer feedback in real time. And we found that our entire office infrastructure was still doing annual 360 reviews. When half of the talent had already turned over, so they were never getting those reviews. We find that transparency is the #1 request millennials want from a work environment. So those 5 offices that are championing faster are looking for ways to do real-time feedback. They've instituted Twitter feeds after presentations or meetings so that every individual knows exactly how they did, and over the course of the year, they have a narrative about their performance. We have constructive coaching going on in those 5 markets. They all have different types of mentoring programs for new talent. And how teams that have consistently won awards are helping other teams or new client teams continue to drive creativity and innovation. And all 5 of those offices celebrate success in ways that others don't. And we thought, wow, that's really interesting too. Now, as you think about these 4 cultural commitments, there's really no secrets here. And it's probably not anything that's all that new. But the real secret is in the execution. And what we're trying to do is spread and infect what those 5 offices are that generate nearly half of our awards around the world to our entire global network. And if you can find ways to replicate these in your networks, no matter how big or small, you too will have the same success and continue to win more and drive greater amounts of creativity and innovation into your work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Now we are opening the social TV session with 5 keynotes and panels. The first keynote will be led by Bertrand Nadeau, who is Deputy Sales Director at TF1 Publicité. Bertrand will expose how TF1 Publicité Innovation is able to combine the power of TV with the digital thinking through key learnings and many case studies. Bertrand, it's your turn on stage for the keynote, from real-time marketing to real-time advertising. Thank you.
Merci. Bonjour, donc je vais la faire en français. Donc effectivement, je suis à la régie, je m'occupe d'un département qui s'appelle 361 qui est la marque des opérations spéciales du sponsoring et de la partie innovation chez TF1 Publicité. Et je vais vous parler effectivement de real-time marketing, mais transposé sur la partie publicitaire, pour essayer de voir comment on peut remonter tout ça sur les canaux, en particulier télé. Alors, évidemment, en introduction, quelque chose que vous n'aurez pas manqué, ce marketing de l'instant, ce fameux win the moment, comme ils aiment à le dire chez Twitter, qui se caractérise par différentes choses. On a probablement tous en mémoire l'OP Oreo du Super Bowl de l'année dernière. lorsqu'Oreo rebondit très intelligemment sur la coupure de courant lors du show, et finalement gagne ce marketing de l'instant, puisque c'est la marque qui va rebondir au bon moment avec le bon contenu, et qui va donc générer effectivement un maximum de visibilité et de earn media, comme on dit dans le milieu. D'autres exemples que vous avez peut-être loupés, qui sont assez rigolos aussi dans cette thématique du marketing de l'instant, tout ce community management qui est fait de manière parfois très maligne et très subtile, avec un exemple qui est Auchan, il y en a plein d'autres, mais où le community manager d'Auchan va venir s'intercaler dans une discussion entre deux personnalités de la télé française et du sport en particulier, à savoir Daniel Riolo et Pierre Ménès, et où il va rebondir dans cette conversation en disant qu'effectivement, chez Auchan, le rayon boucherie, je crois si je ne dis pas de bêtises, est tenu par des experts. Et du coup, on le voit, évidemment, ce tweet derrière va générer pas mal de retweets et de rebonds, et Auchan va venir de manière maligne s'insérer dans cette conversation. Donc forcément, ce marketing de l'instant, il est social, il est venu, enfin c'est pas que la conversation autour des événements s'est créée par les réseaux sociaux, mais c'est les réseaux sociaux qui ont amplifié ces conversations. Et du coup, on a ces réseaux sociaux qui profitent beaucoup de cette partie réactivité qui se structure. On a ces fameuses war rooms aujourd'hui qui sont mises en place par des annonceurs, des agences, pour justement essayer d'anticiper et d'amplifier au bon moment les différents événements. Maintenant, ces réseaux sociaux, ils ont aussi leurs limites, et leurs limites parfois en termes juste de puissance ou de reach. Alors évidemment, Facebook a une puissance très forte en termes d'utilisateurs, mais en instantané finalement, il se passe beaucoup de choses, on peut ne pas voir finalement le marketing de la marque. Ce qui fait que, au-delà des réseaux sociaux, on a, nous, côté télé, des programmes évidemment très puissants, alors TF1 en particulier. On vous a remis des audiences moyennes, mais ces audiences moyennes sont même évidemment supérieures lorsqu'on regarde la couverture des émissions. The Voice va faire 7,5 millions de téléspectateurs en moyenne, et puis va couvrir une dizaine de millions de téléspectateurs, voire plus sur certains pics. Et ces programmes très puissants, on l'a montré avec une étude assez récemment chez TF1, sont aussi très engageants. Très engageant, pourquoi? Parce que la plupart de ces programmes, généralement, sont autour de dispositifs de narration, donc de récurrence, et finalement, l'étude montre que c'est cette narration et finalement cette récurrence qui va générer un certain engagement du téléspectateur et l'amener à on va dire, à une concentration, ou en tout cas à une possibilité de réception de messages supérieure que dans d'autres environnements. Et du coup, génère justement cet engagement naturel des téléspectateurs va justement